Gamers all around the world, we have gathered here today for yet another guide. Wow, this time we're doing Delhi. So I've done a guide for English, then French, then Mongol, then Rus, and now we're on to Delhi. The next one will be Abbasid. After that is going to be HRE, and then China in the end. All right. So I'm here to show you a basic build order and basic idea, or not basic build order. This is a very good build order, and I think that this is a build order that people should practice. I think Delhi is very good. It's actually the lowest pick civ in the game. I don't know why. Delhi is really good. I think it's a lot of fun to play. So I'm going to be showing you what you're supposed to focus on with Delhi, because it is a more unique civ, and I would say English, French, and Rus are probably the simplest civs, and then you're moving into like Mongol, Delhi, Abbasid, and then HRE and China are probably the two hardest civs to play. Let's get into it. First things first, the build order for Delhi starts completely different. You will be starting with one villager on the mill, and then 5 will go on the straggler woods or trees. Those are the 3 trees around your TC. They spawn on every map, and you preferably want to go to the tree that is near your berries, because after you're done with this tree, you're going to be sending the villagers to berries, which you'll see. Regarding scouts, depending on which civ you play against, like for example, if you play against a civ that doesn't need sheep, like Mongol or English, you can start with 1 scout. But in general, as always, I like to start with 2. I like to take away the sheep from the opponent, get some sheep for myself, and you can attack the enemy gold and put pressure there, and so on and so forth. So I personally like 2 scouts. Again, if you're maybe don't have as much APM, or maybe you're newer to the game, and you don't want to be microing 2 scouts, just go for 1. We start with the mill. I'm not going to pay too much attention to scouting. I already talked about scouting in the previous guides, but also I have a scouting guide on my YouTube, so you can check that out if you're interested, how to scout with your scouts, where to go, how to get sheep, and all the good stuff. So I did go for 2nd scout, and I'm going to send it the opposite way from the first one. The moment the wheelbarrow finishes, you will be starting both of these upgrades. First, you're going to start wheelbarrow. Now, one thing to note is Delhi gets all their upgrades for free. All their upgrades for free. So the moment you finish a building, insta start upgrades, because they take a while to finish, but they're free. So that's the benefit of Delhi. So you're going to have 5 on wood here. 1 is going to make the mill, go on berries, and then every next villager is going to be going on berries until you reach 8 villagers, okay? Now, you want these workers to do 2 trips. So this wood has 150 wood, so you want them to all deliver wood once, twice, and that's enough. You need 100 extra wood from this tree so that you can build all your buildings that you need. So what you're going to do now is kind of like a lot of things at the same time, but it has to be done. So what you want to do is, once they're done with the wood, you want to build a lumber camp, house, a mosque, and you want to build a gold mine. And you want to use 1 villager for each one of these things. So as you see, lumber mill goes there. I'll make a mosque here, gold mine, and a house. Now, it's important to put your mosque connecting your, preferably the best case scenario is your mill and gold mine, because if they're in an influence of this zone, the research happens faster in these buildings, and you want the wheelbarrow to be done as fast as possible. So it's very important to have mosque in between gold and food. If you can't get it between gold and food, try to get it between between food and wood. The moment lumber camp finishes, I'm going to start forestry, because why not? And once the mosque finishes, we're going to start efficient production first, and then PT. So start both of those. Gold mine you can't research yet because you're not feudal. And like I said, from here on out, we're going to go 8 to gold. 8 to food, sorry. This villager right here that built the lumber camp should have gone to food. That's my mistake. And then the next one should be rallied onto the gold. So the villager that built the house, that built the mosque, that built the lumber should go on the berries. The villager that built the gold mine goes on the gold mine. And then you want to rally another worker for a total of 2. So ignore this one. On gold. So your food source or your income should be 8 on food, 2 on gold, and then you rally onto the wood. Now, this is the I know this is like a lot because it's still Dark Age, but Delhi is all about like setting up everything and then just kind of chilling, right? Compared to other civs where, you know, you kind of build one building at a time. Delhi is like more explosive. Whenever you reach feudal, you don't build one building, you build like 5, and you start like 5 researchers. So it takes a little bit of practice, but you get used to it. So from here on out, I'm still scouting, gathering the sheep. I got 8 on food, 2 on gold. And right now I'm going to be rallying on wood, and you want 10 villagers on wood total. Okay, that is the perfect number. You don't want more than 10. Once you reach 10 on wood, you will be going for all villagers rallied onto the food again. So the reason you'll see me, I think, go for 8 here and then go back to food. Doesn't matter. Make it easier and just go 10 on wood first and then rally back to the food. 10 on wood will be plenty for you to basically have enough wood to use or to make all the production buildings, to have unit production while not, you know, having too much wood or having like 400 wood that you're not going to use. Once you have enough resources for your feudal landmark, you're gonna take 3 villagers from berries and you're gonna make the Dome of Faith next to mosque, because you're going to be, you know, putting the scholars into the mosque, so you want them to be, you know, close to one another. And once this is done, you will basically rally these workers that are building this back to berries. So you can already do it now, right? If you plant it, just shift click it onto berries once they're done, and that's it. Now this is the best part about Delhi. Now you just chill and wait for the feudal to finishes. So you had 8 on food, you took 3 for Dome of Faith, and then you're going to take 1 and build a house and then send it to the wood line. So you only want 4 on food, and the reason for that is you need 4 workers on food to consistently produce workers with any civ. Okay, so that is very, very important. French maybe takes 5 because of their faster production time, but it takes like 4.2, not really 5. So I made a house, going back to the wood, and like I said, you're gonna rally onto the wood until you got 10. Yeah, I changed it back here, but you should do 10. It's easier and it's better. So let's speed it up. Okay, this is another part where, you know, we were AFK for like past minute and a half, and this is another part where you gotta do a lot of stuff. So try to remember this, and you can write this down, however works for you, do it. So, what you want to do now is you should have, so there's 3 workers here, so you should have 10 on wood now, and now you should just rally on food and forget about villagers, where they're going, where they're rallied. That's where your villagers are at, and you're not going to be touching them for a long time, which is a nice thing about Delhi. So, and you're going to keep 2 on gold, by the way, remember that. The reason you keep 2 on gold is because you constantly want to produce scholars, not from here, but from the landmark. And 2 on gold is enough income for you to constantly produce scholars. So, what we're going to do now, when this landmark finishes, we're going to do a bunch of things. First, you're going to queue up 2 scholars. Then you're going to click on the mosque, research sanctity first, so that you can capture sacred sites. And you're going to queue up this as well. You're going to click on your mill, cancel this, right? Because it's 30% done, but you don't want it to finish. This is only for deer gathering, which is not so important. So you're going to cancel it. With Delhi, just so you know, if you cancel upgrades, they continue from where you left off. So if I cancel this now and click this upgrade will still be at the same spot, so you don't lose the progress. So you're going to cancel this. Start horticulture, then reset survival techniques, and then research this if you want, but you're not going to use it, so pro scouts don't matter too much. Then you're going to click on your gold mine, research specialized pick, then you're going to click on lumber camp and research double broadaxe. So basically you want to start all your upgrades. If you're playing against an aggressive civ like French or English, what I would suggest, just so you don't forget it, you can also research textiles right now as well. It's free. Just do it. It's going to save you a villager. If there's a chance you're going to lose a villager, just get it. So, with that all that being said, these workers are going to go back to food. And I'm going to take one of these bad boys and I'm going to build a stables with 1 worker. So I'm going to build a stable, and you can see I'm also building it next to these buildings because I'm going to be putting Scholar inside. So again, you don't want it too far away. At the same time, I had about I had like a 500 wood almost. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting another house, you know, just when I get supply blocked, and double blacksmith. Delhi is the only civ, I think, that you go double blacksmith because, like I said, upgrades are free, but they take a long time. So you want to make sure you get double blacksmith and you can get all the upgrades going to make sure, you know, you can fight. So from here on out, you can use your scout to position them to see what your opponent is doing, you know, whatever you want to do with them. That's all good. So we have 7 workers soon on berries, and we're going to have everything else relevant to the sheep. And this is going to be your food source for a while. Now, one thing to note, some people ask, why do you go for berries instantly with Delhi or Abbasid? The reason for that is you want to get, in my opinion, I like to get berries instantly, because if there is an aggression from the opponent, then you can bail from the berries and go into the safe food, which is sheep. But if you get all the sheep and then the opponent pressures you, you can't go into the berries. Plus, you need wheelbarrow ASAP. So, yeah. Once stable finishes, you can or don't need to. You don't need to, but it will give you much faster production if you put your Scholar inside and pump out around 5-6 horsemen. And what you want to do with these horsemen is just put some pressure on the opponent, maybe kill their scouts, just get some map control. Make them scared and make them go spearmen. And the reason why you want to make, I would say 6 to 8 is probably the good number, amount of horsemen, is that is the amount of horsemen you can't just ignore, and you also can't just not make spearmen. So you're basically forcing your opponent to go spearmen, and then you go double archer range behind it to counter the spearmen that they'll be making. So you're basically, most of your army will be archers, but your horses are kind of the instigator for your archers to be good. So if you're a potato and if you can't do all these things and remember all these things, you don't need to put Scholar in stables. I like to put it in stables because it increases the production of the building by a lot, so you can pump out those horsemen faster. And, you know, just go around, kill scouts, attack the gold, wherever you can. Don't lose them. Remember, you can heal your units with Delhi very early on, so try not to lose your horses. Once the blacksmiths finish, pro tip, you don't need to select one blacksmith then the other. You can select both, and if you click, let's say this and this, one blacksmith will take one upgrade and the other blacksmith will take the other upgrade. So if you click W, S, Q, A, each blacksmith will have 2 upgrades in the order you queued the upgrades in. So which upgrades are the best to get? For sure, once you get double blacksmith, you want to get iron undermash and steeled arrow, because your army highest DPS is from the archers. And then you also want the iron undermash because you know, it just helps. It's a very good thing, and you can also dive under TC a little bit easier. Opponents might have towers, might have archers. Just get it. The melee upgrades, you want to get them after. They're not as impactful, but, you know, they're free. So, just do it. Now, with all that being said, right, and again, don't be confused. I have 8 villagers on wood. You're supposed to have 10. With all that being said, the next wood that you will be spending is on the double archer range. So you're going to make 1 archer range, start producing archers, and eventually you are going to have more wood. You're going to throw another archer range and just double produce and produce horsemen as well. So what is your goal with Delhi? Well, your goal with Delhi is sanctity. That is your main play. So you want to get the sacred sites. Now, there's multiple ways to control sacred sites. There's multiple ways to go about it. By the way, if you're playing against French, I just want to point it out because that's, you know, Rus also has knights, I guess, but French is the main one. If you're playing against French, you want to open with barracks for spearmen to counter their knights. And then, once they go archers, you go horsemen to counter their archers. So your unit comp against French will be spearmen, horsemen. Every other sim, pretty much, you will go horseman, archer. There we go. I'm glad I didn't forget that. So, there are multiple ways to control the map and control the sacred sites, and this is dependent on you. That's right. I don't think there's the... I think the best way is pure army and no static defenses, because army is always going to be better if you can pay attention to it and micro it. But, and like basically what the idea is, once this upgrade finishes or you're close to finishing, you take 3 scholars, you send them to 3 sacred sites, and you try to cap all 3 and hold them. Now, at the pro level, you'll see this very often. Players don't usually build towers or walls around sacred sites. And a lot of people are like, why don't they do it? It's cheap. Well, every time you build a static defense or a wall, that means 1, 2, 3 less archers. So then if you build, let's say, a wall here, you're going to have 2, 3 less archers for the battle in the middle, and then you're going to lose the middle, right? So then it's like, okay, great, you secured this, but you lost this. But on the other hand, if you had more units, you could have just defended the push here, thus not needing the walls. But I'm not expecting, you know, this is like top level. And even at the top level, you see people go for towers and walls. So, TLDR, if you are newer to Delhi or slower player, not only I would advise to build walls, I would also advise to build a tower per sacred site. So if you do decide to go for a tower per sacred site, your production and army will be a little, lowered. And you're going to take 2 villagers from food and make a mining camp on stone. So you're going to make 1 tower here, 1 tower there, 1 tower there, and upgrade them with arrow slits. And eventually you will get the 100 stone upgrade to increase their health as well. And this is something that enables you to focus more on other stuff, and if the enemy is trying to recap a sacred site with 1 unit, well, there's a tower and they can't. And then also the fights around sacred sites become a lot more awkward for your opponents. So I would initially advise to build a tower, just have that backbone. You can also try, if you want to be more active with the army, build like a wall around it, and if you put your archers inside, it's pretty safe, the opponent can't break it. Because even if the opponent builds like a ram to destroy a tower or destroy a wall, you already got so much gold from the sacred side, it doesn't matter, and they wasted resources into a ram. So, yeah, that's how you should look at it. But basically, there's 3 ways to control sacred sites: towers, walls, or just pure army. That is up to you, whatever you want, test it out. Like I said, the only difference is you would take 2 workers from food, you would put it on stone for the towers. If you want to make walls, you don't need more workers on wood. You're just going to suffer a little bit in the archer production. So that's something you got to test out, see what works for you, and that's pretty much it. So, remember, keep producing scholars at all times, don't stop, and keep producing units. The most important thing with Delhi is to maintain the map control. And whenever you're not holding the middle or fighting over middle, go harass their berries, harass their deer with horsemen, because you got fast mobile units, and they will be stuck most of the time on spearmen archers or spearmen whatever. And you can abuse that by, you know, going around, killing their villagers, preventing their economy. And not only you're buying yourself time for the sacred sites, but you're also distracting your opponent at the same time. So, once this upgrade sanctity is about 30 seconds away, you want to pull your scholars from the mosque, and all 3 of them, and you want to send them to each sacred site. So I'm going to do that in a second, because by the time they get there, sanctity will finish researching on its own. You can see it's 22 seconds. And by the time they get there, it's going to finish, and you get perfect timing on that, and you start capping, and you start getting that juicy gold. If you ever have too many resources and you can't produce fast enough, what you can do is you can just put scholar in archer ranges or stables, and it will produce units much quicker, so you can kind of make up for the extra resources you have. And as you can see, capping 2 sites, and I'm going to start capping 3. And if you were going for towers, would already be up, and you would start your arrow slits research. Now, the idea from here isn't to go kill your opponent, it's to just hold the sacred sites. Because they give you so much gold as Delhi, that's their bonus, that if you hold the sacred sites, you're getting so much income that you don't need to mine any gold, and you will just be able to age up and make gold units without getting any gold. So kind of giving you free workers on that. Now, at this point on, like once you start capping sacred sites, you want to rally scholars with your army, wherever your army is going as well. Like, I'm rallying my units here, for example. because scholars heal quite a lot and they're only 75 gold, right? So you want to make them, you want to fight with them basically so they can heal your units, because the healing is quite good. Try not to lose them, because even though they're 75 gold, they take a while to build, and the more scholars you have, the more powerful the healing is, because they just like go around each other and just everyone heals everyone kind of thing. And once you get to castle, you have the herbal medicine upgrade that increases the healing by 100%, so their healing goes through the roof. Now, the idea behind Delhi right now, so what is the plan? The plan is to hold sacred sites at all costs. So as long as your opponent is producing units, you produce units. The moment the opponent is kind of chilling a little bit, you cut the unit production and you go for castle. So I still have only 2 workers in gold. If you have sacred sites, you will not be needing more workers in gold, because the gold income, you will see in a second. I just camped 2 sites. Look at my gold now. You can see it's slowly going to go up, and very, very fast you're going to have enough gold for castle. And this is why you want all your workers to be rallied onto food, because what you want to do in a perfect case scenario, you want to be producing units constantly, but also slowly crawling to castle age without necessarily stopping unit production, maybe delaying it a little bit, but you want to be pumping out units while still taking up. I have 19 on food. Oh, the replay ended. I'm 19 on food, and you're going to just have more and more and more food income. And the moment you start producing units, you'll have enough food, because at one point you're going to have like 25, 30 villagers in food, which is crazy income. And at a point, you're just going to be able to tech up to castle and kind of go on from there. Now, castle itself, there's different options. And this is something I get asked often on stream. What is the right unit comp with Delhi? What is the best way to play Delhi? I think it depends a lot on the player. I think every civ is a little bit like this, but with Delhi, you have so many options. A lot of players like adding like 3 barracks and going men-at-arms plus crossbows, because you already have 2 archer ranges. Some people like adding 2 more stables and going into knights, right, with 3 stables, because they're already set up for that, with crossbows as well. There's also a playstyle where you go for a men-at-arms to tank, and you go for elephants. So your army will be much smaller number-wise, but elephants are extremely strong, but they cost 1,000 resources each. So that is up to you. I can't tell you which the best way to play Delhi is from that point on, because it's also map dependent. Like if you're playing against, like, let's say English that has 30 spears already, you don't want to go into knights, right? Maybe going into men-at-arm elephants, the ranged elephants, of course, not the melee ones, would be better, because then you counter these spears. Obviously, don't run elephants into spears. But if you're playing against French that has knights and you get castle age faster, going men-at-arms doesn't make sense, because the knights are going to counter men-at-arms. So then you want to go for knights of your own, or you want to go spear elephant, spear crossbow, stuff like that. So that is very dependent on the matchup, but all the playstyles are possible, and I think that's the really cool part about Delhi. Regarding the 3rd landmark, I would suggest going for the one with the upgrades. I forgot what it's called. That has honed blades that you can increase damage on your lancers and men-at-arms. Just the moment that finishes, queue up the damage upgrade first, then the house upgrade, and just queue up the other 2. You can go for the compounded defender. It basically reduces the stone cost for your keep. That is the biggest one. If you're playing more defensive in general, you can go for that one. And that way you'll have basically more stone to work with, because your keeps cost less. If you play more aggressive, more unit-based, I would suggest go with House of Learning. And from then on out, the moment you hit castle, you want to use those scholars to try and get all the relics on the map. So in the perfect scenario, you want to have a scholar at each relic, and the moment you age up, you just yoink all 5 relics and you send them home. Because not only you have gold from sacred sites, you'll also have them from relics, and then you're not so dependent on holding every sacred site on the map, because then you're going to have the relics for free. Last thing is, depending on the map, again, and this is, I know there's a lot of depending, but this is why Delhi, like Abbasid and Mongols, are harder civs, because there's a lot of what ifs in the games. It's not a point A to point B. With Delhi, Dry Arabia is probably the most open map and active map. But if you play a map like Altai, or maybe you play, some like King of the Hill, or maybe some maps where you can hold that sacred site, you can actually go for sacred site win. And you'll kind of have to play Delhi more and more to know when that timing is. In general, if you won the early game and you had a good early game and you won the battles and you're controlling 3 sacred sites, there's nothing wrong with going compounded defender, making a keep at every sacred site, and just holding. Like, your whole idea is just make men-at-arm elephants, and whenever he attacks, you just stand on the sacred site, you fight him there, and that's it. If you want to go more macro-oriented, what you can do is you can add another TC when you reach castle and pick up all the relics and just kind of play on from then on out. Again, this is all dependent on you. I would suggest in castle, once you reach castle, put 3 scholars back in mosque to boost up your research time on all your researches, because it will make them quite a bit faster. I think it's like 37.5% faster if the buildings are within influence, which is quite a bit faster, right? Because the Delhi upgrades take long. And also, important thing, whenever you age up with Delhi, remember to instantly get the upgrades. This is very, very important. Get all the upgrades. Make sure to click mining camp, lumber camp, mill, blacksmiths, and then in castle you also get the unit upgrades. One thing about the unit upgrades, they take very, very long time. So if you want to research like a spearman in castle, the upgrade, or archer upgrade, you need to have a scholar inside, because otherwise it's going to take so long, and it's going to basically block your production for a very long time. So that is something to consider. Delhi is a civ that focuses on mid-game the most. It focuses around sacred sites and finishing off your opponents pretty quickly. A lot of people will say Delhi Imperial is trash. Delhi Imperial isn't necessarily bad. The problem with Delhi Imperial at a high level is the upgrades take so long to finish, you die before they finish. If you're at a lower level, I don't think that will be as much of an issue. But like I said, Delhi is the lowest pick civ, and I hope maybe this guide helps people a little bit on how to play it. I'm not sure why it's the lowest pick civ. Maybe people don't know how to play it. Maybe they don't like it. But I hope with this little guide you can explore some Delhi and hopefully enjoy it. I recently did a video about AoE 4 World. They have a VOD tracker where you can basically click Delhi above, let's say, Platinum Elo, and you can search for all the games that happened with Delhi players versus someone. And if there's a Twitch VOD of that, there will be a link, so you can also watch games from Delhi player or people that play Delhi. If you're not sure about something, or just tune into my stream. Either way, give Delhi a go. You know, everything I said in this video, you don't have to do it perfectly, but this is how you play it. So just try to emulate this as much as you possibly can. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. The next guide that will be coming is the Abbasid, then HRE, then China. Thank you for watching. Twitch gamers, let's keep going.